you can start.
Namaskar and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my student friends. On behalf of Neswadia College of Commerce, I, Mrs. Aarti Mane, very happy to welcome you all today. In year 2021 is special for all of us at Neswadia College of Commerce because it marks 53 glorious years of academic research and scholarship of the college. Extraordinary circumstances demands extraordinary action. And this is why we are observing our Foundation Day virtually. I say observing, not celebrating. Out of respect for difficult time, all of humanity is currently experiencing owing to the COVID-19 crisis. With this endeavor today, we honor the legacy of our college and look ahead, hope for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall begin the program now. I request our principal, Professor Dr. Vrishali Radhir, to formally welcome our guests and the audience and make a few opening remarks. Over to you, ma'am. Over to you, Randhir, ma'am.
Rushali,
Over to you, Randhir, ma'am.
Aarti ma'am, I guess Randir ma'am's screen has got frozen, so I will just contact her. Just give me a
Okay,
minute. Yeah.
sure, sir. We are very much sorry for the technical glitches, audience. Randhir ma'am will be joining us shortly.
have you announced Aarti?
Yes, ma'am. I have already announced. Here we have Rushali Randhir ma'am for the opening remarks. Welcome, ma'am.
Oh, good evening to all of you. Honorable Chief Guest of today's function, Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Nitin Kalmarkar, sir. Trustees of Modern Education Society, Dr. Abhay Hake, Dr. Ashok Chandak, Professor Dr. Manohar Sanap, Vice Principal Professor Prakash Chaudhary, Vice Principal Dr. Smita Kunde, invitees, faculty members, and dear students. Today is a special day, and on this special occasion of the 53rd Foundation Day of Neswadia College of Commerce, I welcome you all wholeheartedly to this virtual event. Foundation Day is a special day when we remember the founding fathers of the modern education society who laid down the robust foundation.
Ma'am, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Yes. Should we start? No, it was okay. Yeah. Foundation Day is a day when the entire college family gets a chance to reflect on not only the beginnings of the college and its founders, but also on the significant development of the college has made since its inception. It is a day set aside to celebrate our history and revisit and reconnect with the continuing journey of the college. This is the day on which we honor the founding fathers of the college and reflects on the commitment, resilience, and dedication they displayed to see their vision come to reality. During the last 52 years, our present and past office bearers, principals, faculty members, and students have taken immense effort to sustaining and expanding the cultural capital handed over by the founding members of the Modern Education Society. 2 years ago, when we celebrated the Golden Jubilee year of the college, the situation was different. And now in 2021, the situation is entirely different. The COVID-19 pandemic has made a huge impact on the various sectors worldwide, including the education sector. In post-COVID-19 scenario, the education sector is not going to remain the same. The COVID-19 has forced us to reflect on our teaching, pedagogy, and evaluation system. I am happy to share that the faculty and students of Nes Wadia College of Commerce have adapted to the online teaching seamlessly. The threat of COVID-19 is still lingering. The nation is passing through a turbulent time. However, we are sure that this time too shall pass. On this special day, let us commit that all of us will get vaccinated as early as possible and will encourage others to get vaccinated in a large number. Finally, once again, I extend my heartfelt greetings to all of you on the College Foundation Day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Dr. Abhay Hake, trustee of the Modern Education Society, to please deliver his address. Dr. Hake.
Thank you, ma'am. Today's chief guest of the function, Honorable Professor Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, sir, Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Other delegates, respectable personalities online, alumni members of Nes Wadia College, in-charge principal Dr. Rushali Randhir Madam, Vice Principal Dr. P.N. Chowdhury sir, Vice Principal Dr. Smita Kunde Madam, all faculty members, staff, principals of other colleges of Modern Education Society. We welcome all of you on behalf of a Board of Trustees of Modern Education Society, President Nesli Wadia sir, Secretary Nes Wadia sir, Jay Wadia, Dr. Mini Bodhanwala, Dr. Amitav Malik, Dr. Vijay Kelkar, Dr. Ashok Chandak, Dr. Manohar Sanap, and myself, Dr. Hake. We welcome all of you on this auspicious day of 53rd Foundation Day of Nes Wadia College. Today's day, this is the second time we are celebrating online function. As Mane Madam has already said that we are not celebrating, but we are observing the function which is online. But it is very unfortunate that we have to have a function like this, where we used to celebrate. All old alumni used to come to the college, mingle together, have old memories refreshed, and whatnot. Chit chat, linger in the campus for a long time, and so on. But due to a pandemic situation, really it has become very, very difficult. Human is a social animal and behaves in a group, would like to have gatherings. It responds to social behavior, responds to facial expressions, responds to body language, and so on. But now, when we are celebrating such a function online, it has become very difficult for us to, even respond to the audience, because we are not able to even, see the facial expressions of all those who are attendees. So this is a very difficult situation. Due to pandemic situation, people are forced to work from home, or rather our old terminology we used to have, like people used to become homesick. But now we have got a different terminology which has been introduced, like people have become sick at home because they are locked in their homes for obvious reasons. Now, under all such circumstances, all this social scenario is changing through a very different kind of a social problem that has been introduced. Like IT professionals working from home are passing through a difficult phase of working with a long working hours. Number of suicides they have increased, shoulder and neck pain or eye stress. So all these social problems have come up with the various issues that have come up. So on a similar lines, educational institutions also will have to handle this situation. Like almost since last March, the students are never turned up to the campus or the colleges. And everything is going on online, examination and whatnot. So we have to adopt the culture, or we have to face these problems. Like work efficiency of faculty and staff, it has dropped down drastically. For collecting information, we are taking a longer time. Maintaining physical and mental balance, changing habits of the people, it has become a different challenges for all of us. But during this pandemic situation also, some of the faculties and students I have come across, they have utilized the time very effectively. Like some of them, they are improving themselves in terms of physical fitness, in terms of they are learning yoga, they are learning different arts. Some of them, they are learning different languages online. These online tools and digital tools are very helpful at present, and those who are taking advantage of it are really getting benefited. So our chief guest today, will request them to guide us in terms of futuristic vision required under the such circumstances, how to deal with such problems. Like educational scenario is changing, national education policy is changing, online teaching and whatnot. There are various issues that are going to come up in the due course of time. So all this will be helpful for all our faculty and the concerned students to understand what is the futuristic changes that are required for all of them to adopt this culture of going online, using digital media. The post-COVID situation is very difficult task for us to all of us to handle. Government is helping us in many ways, like vaccination is available. Social scenario is changing very fast, and the economic effect of economical background and economical suppression or economical letdown has resulted into various issues. All these problems that now those who are office bearers will have to handle very seriously. So with this perspective, celebrating this this anniversary is also one of the challenge for us for the next few years, how to deal with such problem and how to bring everything to normal. So with this, I will conclude my speech, and we are eagerly waiting for the speech by Dr. Karmarkar sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule University, and they will guide us for our futuristic vision for modern education society, all of our trustees and all our faculty members, students and staff. So I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be with all of you, and opportunity given me to be with all of you and give a speech online. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Prakash Chaudhary, the Vice Principal of the college, to please introduce our chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Nitin Karmarkar. Over to you, Chaudhary, sir.
Yes. Good evening to one and all. Honorable chief guest of the Foundation Day function of the college, Vice Chancellor of the Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, Honorable Office Bearers of the Modern Education Society, Dr. Abhay Hake, Dr. Chandak, Dr. Sanap, Dr. Ganeshan, ex-principals of the college, Dr. Devdhar, Dr. Devasthali, Dr. Andar, Dr. Girija Shankar, Dr. Asha Jadhav, in-charge principal Dr. Brushali Randher, Vice Principal Junior College Dr. Smita Kunde, dignitaries present on this virtual platform, distinguished invitees, ex and present principals, vice principals, faculty members of various colleges, and dear young guardians. Today, on the occasion of 53rd Foundation Day of the college, it's my honor to introduce the chief guest of today's function, Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar, the Vice Chancellor of the Savitribai Phule Pune University. Though Vice Chancellor Dr. Karmalkar needs no introduction in the academic sector, but for the benefit of young guardians, it's my duty to present here his brief sketch of contribution to the academic world. Dr. Karmalkar did his BSc in Geology from Shivaji University and later did his MSc and PhD in Geology from our own university. He got an international exposure and opportunity to work with renowned international researchers in Australia, Germany, France, East Africa, Yemen, Iran, and published more than 34 research papers in internationally acclaimed research journals, more than 7 books, just because of his sheer passion for research in petrography and geochemistry. Professor Karmalkar is a well-known scientist in the field of igneous petrology. He did his postdoctoral research from Sydney and Germany. From being a student at the Savitribai Phule Pune University to being a faculty, a department head of geology and environment science, and since 2017, its vice chancellor, his amazing journey of life has been a source of inspiration for all of us. Having a unique blend of strong academic and research experience with administrative expertise, he has proved himself to be a great motivating academician for embellishment towards quality assurance. Due to his dedicated efforts in the capacity of Director of Internal Quality Assurance Cell of the Savitribai Phule Pune University, could score 3.60 score and A+ grade by NAAC in recent accreditation. He was also the Director of Internal Quality Assurance Cell at our university and coordinator of the Savitribai Phule Pune University for Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, a union government scheme. His extensive experience in teaching geology, geochemistry, and volcanology covers a span of more than 3 decades. He has held almost all academic and other prominent positions of the university. In our university, he ensures academic flexibility with the optimal use of available facilities and other human resource employed in the university. He has 2 postdoctoral research, one in Macquarie University, Australia, and another in Max Planck Institute for Geochemistry at Mainz, Germany, to his credit. Professor Karmalkar has completed 6 major research projects and has mobilized research funding for the department. He has 34 research publications and published 1 book, 3 abstract volumes, and 3 technical reports. He is also a reviewer for national and international journals in geology. Thereafter, in the year 2017, he could step up the ladder of success with his ever-rising career graph through his sincerity and capability by accepting this most coveted post of Vice Chancellor of Pune University. Being the principal academic and administrative leader, he is instrumental in ensuring efficiency, good order in the university and affiliated colleges, and working hard to take this university on the global map in the real sense of the term through the quality education and research. During his tenure as Vice Chancellor, SPPU has been declared as the largest university in Maharashtra based on parameters like quality, overall excellence, infrastructure, and number of affiliated colleges. His recent initiative of Green Wari has become a world record where more than 16,000 saplings were planted on the way of Wari from Pune to Pandharpur, through which he could sensitize the issues of ecological awareness and regeneration of the tree cover. His initiative for starting new food mall, the social innovative lab, new chair of yoga, involving 300 students in COVID testing initiative to assist Pune Municipal Corporation, motivating staff and students to volunteer in this critical COVID pandemic situation, have been well appreciated by the people from various strata of the society. In this pandemic period, he has played a vital role in decision making at the government level and initiated a blended education movement and helping and guiding the colleges in e-content development. In our university, he's trying to develop an artificial intelligence based on line management system or app to analyze students' participation in online lectures. I'm sure under his dynamic leadership, all of us will move towards excellence in the future, despite existing lot of critical challenges. Under his able leadership, SPPU has collaborated with renowned universities like Göttingen University, Germany, Lund University, Sweden, Universidad de Santiago de Compostela, Spain, Politecnico di Torino in Italy, and City University, London. Through his initiative, SPPU has also signed MOUs with ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, IITP, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Indian Air Force, Indian Institute of Gems and Jewelry, etc., to imbibe practical skills and employment-oriented education to the students' community at large. With his exemplary endeavors, Savitribai Phule University has ventured into special programs of academic collaborations with renowned universities in the developed countries such as USA, UK, Canada, Germany, and Japan, covering a variety of subjects in the fields of arts, science, and languages, etc. As per the recent QS World University ranking, under his dynamic and versatile leadership, global ranking of our university has risen by 200 in recent 2-3 years and achieved the position of honors as one of the prestigious universities, not only in nation, but in the whole world. We, the Neswadians, feel honored to have such a great academician, researcher, and administrator par excellence as a chief guest consecutively for 2 years for our College Foundation Day celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar, to our virtual campus and for this function. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. My friends, the moment we've been waiting for has arrived, the launch of our new website. I request Dr. Karmalkar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Savitribai Phule Pune University, to please do the honors.
Rakesh. Yes.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Great.
Here we have the new face of the website. Months of effort and what a product.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Before we begin with sir's address, we would also request Dr. Karmalkar to please release.
Ripa, release the book, Research Journal.
Yes, research journal.
Will you please announce?
Yes, sir. We would request Dr. Karmalkar to please release our research journal.
I'm doing it.
Business.
This is okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a number of teachers, non-teaching staff members, students and alumni and invitees who are attending this meeting live as we speak. May we request now our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Karmalkar, to please address the audience. Some of us who are on the meet and some of us who are hearing us live on Facebook and YouTube.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. And let me first of all wish a very happy Foundation Day. It is the 53rd Foundation Day. Already I completed 50 years. So I reached to the maturity. And there are many ways by which you can expand further. So first of all, my greetings to every one of you, the in-charge principal, Rushali, Randhir, all the trustees, the one who is present here, Dr. Abhay Hake, Professor Dr. Prakash Chaudhary, Vice Principal, and Dr. Smita Kunde, and those in fact who are helping the principal in conducting this online function. We all are aware, and we have been passing through a very challenging time and has been discussed and deliberated by many of you that for last 1.5 years exactly, it all began in the month of March last year when there were first report of basically a COVID patient in Pune. And since then, on 24th of perhaps March last year, we went into a lockdown. And especially a large university like Pune University, our exams had just begun, maybe about 20% of papers we had completed. And suddenly the lockdown was declared. Although over the years, we've been talking about use of technology, IT in education, but actually speaking, none of us we were prepared for it. And this was a sudden sort of a transition. Overnight, we had to actually think of going in online mode. And therefore, the SPPU decided, first of all, to put in whatever content that is available on the website so that irrespective of the subject, faculties, everything that was put in together, the SPPU to a great extent is fortunate to have EMMRC on the campus Education Multimedia Research Center, through which many of the MOOCs programs are created. And therefore, when a request was made to all the faculty, not necessarily only were residing or staying on the campus or teaching in the campus, but even to the faculties belonging to various different colleges, including your own college. And I'm so happy that overnight, there were PPTs, there were different kinds of teaching materials, videos and everything. They started pouring in. And we made a provision on the website basically that students not necessarily only belonging to the University of Pune, but the access was even provided to all the students throughout the state. And that is how the beginning was made. Then the new pedagogy, basically, we were not tuned to actually do the online teaching, as rightly pointed out by many of you, that you cannot see the student sitting in front of you many times because of the connectivity issues or poor bandwidth. Most of the time the videos are off. And therefore we had to think of synchronous as well as asynchronous kind of a teaching, asynchronous kind of a teaching, which was an entirely sort of a new sort of vertical for every one of us. We were not prepared, so we had to undergo basically some kind of a training. So university created a team, and through this dedicated team, initially we conducted many mentoring sessions for the teachers. How do we go about basically when you're teaching in online mode, what different thing that needs to be looked at, and then how do we make this particular lecture very engaging and enriching kind of thing. And that is how the whole exercise began. After a year, today we have perhaps the largest LMS, learning management system, or a platform that was created by the SPPU and has been provided to every college free of cost. Initially, obviously, it wasn't possible to have all colleges on board because it is a large system. We all know that there are more than 850 odd colleges affiliated to the University of Pune. And therefore, taking everyone on board was a little difficult, a little challenging. So it started in phases, initially maybe 15, 20, and today we have reached more or less 450 odd colleges, with something to the tune of about 5,000 synchronous and asynchronous sort of a content that has been created. And that is how we are trying to reach basically most of the students belonging to all different faculties as such. So this is altogether it was a new thing for us, and not necessarily only in India. The challenges, in fact, were also seen in the other parts of the world. In fact, I would love to share, maybe I would share it onto the email of your principal. There's a beautiful sort of a documentation that has come. It's called as a Chronicle of Higher Education, and how world over the education system got transformed into. And there are a couple of articles wherein this kind of a basically experience sharing the best of the practices that got adopted world over, cutting down basically the syllabi, not necessarily with respect to its, I would say, essence, but maybe a reduction, maybe sometime basically making it into, say, what is called as chunking, that instead of 4 papers, you complete 2 papers in 25 or 30 days, that is half the semester, complete the examination and go for the remaining 2 papers. In some places, there is a high flex kind of a teaching, wherein physically those who are able to come on the campus, they've been taught in the class, keeping the physical distance, maintaining all basically the COVID protocols or COVID appropriate behavior. And then the remaining who cannot make it onto the campus, the same lecture is actually going in an online mode. That's called as a high flex teaching. Some people have gone for a hybrid teaching. So we have to prepare now that perhaps even otherwise also, maybe after vaccination, it would not be feasible to have every student on the campus at once. So perhaps one, I always have given a model kind of thing. In a given class, maybe 30% of the student, you can bring them in the class. The remaining almost say 70% would join in an online mode. The next day, perhaps the 30% will come and the previous 30% will go back. And that is how basically we have to keep on reshuffling. This is the model we tentatively are thinking of adopting onto the campus. But prior to that, we must actually give a priority for the vaccination sort of a program as such. Initially on the campus, we conducted it for the international student, and I am in dialogue with the authorities, and they actually have accepted our request that it would happen in all colleges. And perhaps you may receive a letter from my end or from the university very soon, giving the number of students basically who are present in Pune and who needs to get vaccinated immediately. So we are to a great extent going for the vaccination program on priority, so that if not immediately, but a month after, maybe after taking a first vaccination dose, you can start the program with again following the appropriate COVID behavior, that is COVID protocols, maintaining the physical distance and other thing. So that is the thing that we have initiated on the campus, and that would soon reach to all the colleges in Pune as well as in the other 2 district places, which is the jurisdiction of the University of Pune, Nashik and Nagar. So I am not restricting it to only to the campus. Every college that belongs to or is affiliated to the University of Pune, I consider it to be the responsibility of the University of Pune to actually see to it that every student gets vaccinated at the earliest, so that we can actually think of going for a hybrid teaching, if not a complete sort of a physical phenomenon, maybe 50 or 30%, we will decide the ratio accordingly. And that is how we have to proceed. And I'm pretty sure everyone, in fact, we are trying to create basically the most resilient graduates who can adapt to any changes. And that has been shown during the last, this pandemic time. Although initially no one knew how to even write an exam or how to basically switch on the video, how do you actually respond to the queries and questions of the teacher. But student is very resilient kind of a community, and they have adopted it very smoothly. After the teaching part was over. The next challenge was how do we conduct the examination, and conduction of examination of such a large community. 7.5 lakh students every year get enrolled for their graduation in the under the Pune University. So it was a big challenge for the university, and initially we went for say we outsourced it, but and that outsourcing actually created lot many issues. You all are aware. Some people, in fact, there was quite a criticism that I had to bear with, but actually that was a learning experience. And therefore, since we have a very large sort of expertise available in the IT sector, it was a challenge that I had thrown it to them that next exam should be on our own platform. So accordingly, you start working on it, start creating our own platform, which to a great extent will take care of all different problems that we face during the first phase. And at the same time, the sanctity of examination shouldn't be compromised. So there should be some kind of a proctoring, some kind of basically check that the student to a great extent basically are not cheating. If they're cheating themselves. It is not they're cheating to the teachers or to the colleges or to the university, but by adopting all sorts of malpractices, in fact, you are actually cheating yourself. But we have taken enough of care while basically we introduce the AI, we introduce many other elements which will take care of that generally student will not cheat. And to be frank enough, 95% of the student community generally is very studious and they follow rules and the regulation. It is only we have to bother about the 5% as such, the remaining 5%. So all this proctoring and everything is meant for taking care of those 5%, not of 95%. 95% I know they are studious, they are working hard, and they are there actually to get a proper sort of a knowledge, so that in future that will help them actually to occupy an appropriate position as such. So these are basically some of the things that every one of us adopted, including you all. I'm pretty sure it's a 53 years old college and completely dedicated to one particular faculty, that is commerce and management. And in fact, the journal that we unveiled just now, the name of the journal or the topic is very interesting: changing paradigms in commerce and business education as such. And that is obviously is been the emphasis in the new education policy. In the new education policy, in fact, speaks about that whatever up till now has happened, the kind of tradition.
Professor Kalmarkar, sorry to interrupt you. Sir, please, yeah, please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Sometimes it happens automatically. I'm sorry for it. So basically, the topic that has been chosen, changing paradigms in commerce and business education, and that is being emphasized in the new education policy also, not necessarily commerce and management alone, but in all different faculties. The emphasis has been there has to be a multidisciplinarity. It has to be a multidisciplinary in nature. Whatever course, whatever basically curriculum that you create. In fact, we all know that for last so many years on the campus, we adopted choice-based credit system. Of course, choice is something like the student needs to be given a proper choice. A student of engineering perhaps intends to, while doing his engineering, perhaps intend to also study economics or intend to also study perhaps performing arts. So those number of credits, whatever he takes, needs to get transferred or to be credited to his account. And that is what is the choice-based credit system. Unfortunately, it wasn't actually adopted in the letter and spirit. In fact, teacher community is a very smart community. So what they did, that 70% of the syllabus, they made it compulsory, and 30% they kept it as the elective, so that he never got a choice. The student never got a choice. He remained in the same department. The idea was basically he should have a choice while doing physics. If he intends to also study history, that is the choice that needs to be given to him. Generally, it is like when we go to a mall for shopping, we like so many things, and few of them we buy. So it is an open choice basically given to the student, and that is I would say the very core of what is called as the choice-based credit system. Anyway, we are trying to change it, and in online mode, basically, it is becoming very easy because it is 24/7. The teaching is. Most of the classes have become virtual classrooms, and therein student can even attend the classes in the evening. And therefore, keeping that particular spirit in mind, in fact, maybe in a month's time, there is another platform that we are unveiling to every one of you. It is called as a Graduate Plus platform. And we have created so many certificate courses in a e-mode, in a basically online mode. So while doing graduation, he will have plenty of options, in fact, going for these various different courses, and certificates would be provided by the Savitribai Phule University. And not to worry, because many of them would be free of cost. Few of them, obviously, which are coming from very highly reputed kind of platforms like Coursera or maybe Amazon, those courses will be charged. But in the market price, the way Amazon charges it would not be the charge a university would be taking. So if they are charging ₹1,00,000 for a same course on their platform, on the SPPL platform, it would 10 to 15,000. So that we are taking enough of care that the student get the best of the e-content in the cheapest mode. And while doing graduation, basically, he also gets so many basically skills that he intends to carry along with him, that to an extent will enhance his employability as well. Although we keep on speaking about the other aspect, like these days, we are also speaking about strengthening the entrepreneurship skills in the student as well. Keeping that thing in mind again, on the campus, although we have created SPPU Research Park Foundation, and under that, there are 5 verticals we have identified. 3 of them are near and dear to every one of us. One is water, second is agriculture, third is healthcare. We have seen during the pandemic, in fact, this particular sector was severely became very vulnerable in the COVID time especially. And in this particular sector, there is a need of concentrating the most. And when in fact on my WhatsApp, when I made a sort of an appeal to the student during lockdown, that in what way we can help the community. And it was so mind-boggling. The response was so overwhelming. Many of them, they came forward. I used to get WhatsApp at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the midnight also. And the outcome was the development of one of the best non-invasive sort of a ventilator. And that ventilator, to a great extent, was created by the University of Pune, by the student of the University of Pune, and not necessarily belonging anyone from the campus. It came from a college student as such. And then I had to actually accompany him because in the initial lockdown, virtually not a single person was allowed to move on the street. So I had to take special permission. Many times I accompanied him, went to the civil hospital, did basically most of the testing, getting the certification, all that. I'm so happy to share with you all that today he is actually, the production has become, and 500 sort of ventilators. That is the first order he has received, not necessarily only from the Indian subcontinent, but in fact, it would be going to the other parts of the world, especially the poor countries like the African countries. Those nations, we are providing them with this particular facility. Keeping the same thing ahead, basically, we learned that especially the COVID characters, what kind of disease it is and all that. We were totally new to it. Suddenly we realized that it is attacking our lung system as such. Suddenly, basically, we started speaking in terms of creating sort of a vaccine for it. Serum is the Pune-based institute which came forward. But understand that during the COVID, in fact, for them also it was a challenging time, because most of the basically analytical facilities they used to procure, they used to send their every sample abroad. And when the entire aviation had come to standstill, they also had issues in getting their tests done. So a telephone which came from Serum, they directly called me up, said on the campus there are many such instrumentation that is available, whether such facility can be provided. And we readily agreed upon. And I'm so happy that there's a little contribution that has come from our own university in developing this particular vaccine in a way of basically doing the testing for the initial things as such. And it was a kind of a revenue generation for the university also. We earned to the tune of about 60 lakhs. But beside that, we are so happy that our instrument were used for this very noble purpose. And today, in fact, they are so happy with the result, the precision, the accuracy, that they had decided not to send the samples abroad. Henceforth, they would be coming to basically on the campus. Another interesting thing that we could did, that beside COVID, this is a very populous country. The India is a very populous country. We have to basically cater to the needs of 130 crore people. And especially in the education sector, we have seen what is the gross enrollment ratio. Despite everything, we are not, in fact, have gone, we reached just now to 26 or 27%. So still some amount of population is actually remaining away from education, and perhaps the ODL, the online and distance learning, would provide the necessary opportunity even to increase the gross enrollment ratio, at the same time actually bring in more people in this particular, under this particular umbrella. And that is what basically the ODL, the online teaching, this is the strength of the online teaching as I would consider it to be. So basically, in such a country which is very populous, wherein not necessarily only COVID alone, but there are some recurring communicable diseases that we receive every now and then, which include chikungunya, which include dengue, which include swine flu. So when a proposal came from the Honorable Governor, that you all remember that when the COVID testing started happening in Pune, we had just only one lab, that is at NIV. And then there was a sort of a saying, or rather ordering from the government, that most of the universities, the RT-PCR is commonly used for various different analytical purposes. So if you have that, you start doing the COVID testing as well. When I spoke to my faculty on the campus, they said, so although we have RT-PCR, but it requires to have a particular kind of a safety level. The labs has to be BSL 2 or BSL 3 kind of basic safety level 2 or 3, which is unfortunately we don't have it on the campus. I said, if so, then how about actually shifting the instrument in such lab? So where it is available. For example, in the close proximity, we have ICER, and ICER has that kind of a lab. So ICER, if it is working with one particular instrument, how about actually taking 2 or 3 instruments from our university to that campus and start conducting it? So initially when ICER was testing just 100 samples, we scaled it up to almost 300 to 400 samples a day. So that is what is a contribution again from the university. And my all dear students, when I made a sort of a appeal to them, that antigen kit testing basically that is happening, that needs to be done on the ground, physically one has to go. I remember the fleet of students actually did the work. all of them, they came from colleges. No one from the campus. Most of the students were actually coming from all different colleges. They did it for almost a month's time and did testing of more or less about 4.5 lakh antigen kit testing was to a great extent performed by our own students. So this is what the strength I see in the student and of the colleges, of all different colleges. Every one of you have put in all your efforts, whether it is actually online education or the social responsibility, creating basically sanitizers, creating mass distribution of food, everything in all ways, basically most of the students have contributed significantly. And this is what I would see, that we always keep on saying that the next generation, they are not very serious about anything. It's all humbug actually. They are the most studious and they are most serious students. They're the most lovable lads, I would call them. And whenever basically you give them a call, they on priority would come forward. They were always, most of the time, were most forthcoming kind of a student, let's say. So when we are actually thinking about the next year's education as such, at the backdrop of the new education policy, we have to actually make it a more multidisciplinary character so that students get access to many courses. And from that point of view, just because I'm addressing to most of the commerce and management students and teachers, let me also share with you that the most of the MOUs that we sign during this pandemic time, because in the new education policy, this quite an emphasis has been put on internship, an internship for commerce and management, internship for humanities, internship for engineering. For engineering, it is easy because Pune is basically, although an academic hub as such, but at the same time in the periphery, you have many such industries where you can always, I can bring them on the campus or send my student to them. But what about commerce and management? What about the other faculties? So taking care of them, I thought of signing MOU with, whether it is Institute of Chartered Accountant, whether it is Institute of Company Secretary, whether it is NISM, National Institute for Safety and Marketing, or the ICW. So all these are to a great extent actually are helping us in providing the necessary sort of internship, because I always have seen that after the 12th standard, 40% of the students actually join this particular faculty. Perhaps this is the largest faculty, commerce and management. And therefore, taking care of their internship and giving them perhaps the kind of skill that are required, which to an extent, most of the time we see that we give them actually some amount of a knowledge. But when it goes to, when he goes for an employment point of view, when he gets in the industry or into the market, always people say that he has basically some knowledge, but he doesn't have the knowledge we require. So there is always a gap that we find. And that gap is basically the kind of skills that are required. And those skills obviously would come from all these professional bodies who are actually working in the field. And that is what this MOU speaks of. Internships, providing basically internships to the commerce and management students. And remember that all these 4 institutes that I spoke of actually have a very large infrastructure, and they therefore can accommodate the largest number of students. So giving them internship, giving them basically the necessary skills that to an extent would make them employed. So that is what, on one side, we are actually trying to strengthen the entrepreneurial skill. So therefore, there is a SPPO Research Park Foundation, wherein I spoke about the 5 elements. The 3 I mentioned, agriculture, healthcare, 3rd is water, and the remaining 2 are obviously the need of the present time, the electrical mobility, that is 1, and artificial intelligence. So on these 5 verticals, basically, most of the student can start their startup. If they have any idea, the ideation to a great extent would be matured and mentored by a fleet of experts and then accordingly we can provide him a space on the campus. If he wish to do it in his own college, there is no issue. We have created councils over there also. There also you can do the actually the product development and so on and so forth. So these are the two things that needs to be actually balanced now these days. The traditional knowledge along with that what is required in the market that needs to be embedded. So although we started what is called a BOC, the Bachelor of Vocational, but without involving the industry into it. Most of the time the BOC courses are created by teachers like us. So we are good in teaching. We are creating we are good in creating basically a content or the curriculum for it. But the skilling part has to come from the industry as well. So unless and until you bring in industry on the campus, there has to be a strong bondage. Unless and until you bring them on the campus, and not necessarily just bringing them on the campus, make them part of a teaching, bring them basically for teaching purpose, send the student with them for internship, for actual on the field as such, so they get the required field skill. Then and then perhaps we would be enhancing the employability of those students as such. So unless and until actually this kind of a paradigm shift we bring in, it would be a little difficult, because we have to see to it that the education that is imparted should make him actually earn his own living. And that is what is the purpose of. Gone are those old days, 50 years before time, it was just making them perhaps, I would call giving them education for the purpose of understanding or for purpose of basically reading and teaching. So those were basically the objectives in 50 years before time. But over the year, things have changed. Education to a great extent is considered to be the required material to get him employed, or him or her to get employed in the given market as such. So we have to keep on adding these things as such. And unless or until basically these kind of experiments we perform will not be successful. There are three different structures being talked about in the new education policy, especially with respect to the academic institution, the research intensive universities, then research and teaching intensive universities, and the third category is basically the autonomous colleges, degree granting autonomous colleges. And when you go for autonomy, obviously, your responsibility increases 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, because you have to be creating a very credible kind of a student community as such. And therefore, you should not be compromising on basically changing syllabi. Many times I've seen we have created a structure wherein every year we expect that the curriculum get changed and all that. But generally, there is so much lethargy in the teaching community. We have given everything, like there has to be industry person involved in creating the curriculum, in making a new syllabi and such. But many times it has remained a tick mark activity. It should not be. In fact, we should bring in the industry expert. We should bring in subject expert from various different parts as such. And then there has to be deliberation, discussion, a brainstorm. And that will make basically a robust kind of a syllabi or curriculum, on the basis of which perhaps the student, we would be able to enhance the employability of a student as such. So research is one. Second, obviously, we have seen that we always have talked about professional courses and the traditional courses. It should not be, it should be a mixed kind of there has to be a blending between professional, vocational, and traditional. And that is what multidisciplinarity is all about. It is just not giving them knowledge, but the skills that are required, the professional skill, the vocational skill. So there is a complete all-round kind of a development assist. And at the same time, there has to be a greater emphasis on value education also. That is the need of the time. We have seen that, especially that with time, the values are getting deteriorated, We always have seen fights are happening between two different religions. we have not understood respecting each other religions, each other basically family system, respect for teachers, respect for elderly people, respect for different community, compassion, all these kind of basically this the value system that generally used to come in our, because our family system through which most of these things are transferred to us through our forefathers or through our parents as such. But somewhere now the families have become more or less a nuclear kind of family. So wherein two of them, most of the time, they have one or two kids and they're worried about the giving them a proper education. For that purpose, both of them, the parents, they are out of house earning, creating money, creating resources so as to impart a good and better sort of education to the student or to their kids as such. And therefore the kind of basically the value system that used to get imparted through our elderly people like the grandfather, the grandmother, that structure somewhere has collapsed sort of. And therefore now we have to embed this value education in our curriculum also, so that in all respect we are developing that particular student, and in whatever situation he is thrown in, he would be able to stand on his feet and would be able to adapt. And that is what resilient graduates are all about. They have to be resilient in all different aspects. The situation may arise like he would not be finding a job in India, but perhaps he will have to work in the adjoining country, maybe a close country, where the culture is different, where the food habits are different, where the religion is different. So he has to cope up with all those changing scenarios, and that is the kind of a basically student development the university is looking at. And obviously, I'm pretty sure most of you, all the teachers belonging to all different colleges, of course, there is a teacher crunch. We all know that for last so many years, the recruitment has not happened. The salaries to a great extent during the COVID time, basically on the basis of humanitarian grounds, we have seen that there is a cut in the fee structures. Most of the students, many of them have not paid the fees. Those aided colleges somehow to a great extent able to stand on their own. But think about the unaided courses, wherein if the salary doesn't come, obviously the teacher will not be paid. If the teacher will not be paid, he will not be teaching. So it's a vicious circle we are into. And somewhere we have to also make an appeal to the parents community also. Yes, we would provide you with concessions. It can be an installation. You can pay the fees in installation, but a total sort of a cut in the fee to a great extent would adversely affect the education part as such. So we have to think in those terms also, and we have to actually advocate this to the student as well as to the parent community also. So it is really a challenging time for every one of us. I'm pretty sure that every one of you, all the teachers have put in all efforts in creating the most adaptable kind of a structure through which you are not stop giving education. And that is what is the beauty of the world must go on and the work must go on. And we will not be falling short in providing the best of the education to the student. Every one of you are working towards this goal, and we are with this aim and objective. I'm pretty sure the years to come, wherein once a teacher is a teacher lifetime sort of, you would put in all your efforts in making and creating the best of the student community, which to an extent will help in developing this nation and bringing it to the first 5 economies. So with these wishes, I once again thank every one of you for providing me this opportunity to talk to you. Of course, it was an 11th hour kind of a request that came from the principal. I believe at almost 24 hours before time at 5:30, she was with me, and it was told to me that Umrani sir is going to speak. I didn't know. I was just to inaugurate this function, but I'm pretty sure that you must have enjoyed it was enjoy to me basically discussing and actually deliberating with you all and remaining present for this wonderful sort of function, although in an online mode. But I've cherished every moment of it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing the various initiatives that have been started at the university under your able guidance. All these are making us, our students, and the system resilient. We cannot thank you and thank the university enough. Your insights and inputs are always valued by us students and teachers, always. With this, we come to the end of this graceful program. I now request Dr. Smita Kunde, Vice Principal of the Junior College, to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Smita Kunde, please, over to you. Ma'am, you can unmute yourself, please. Dr. Kunde.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Ani. Good evening. Respected Chief Guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Dr. Nitin Karmalkar, respected Principal and Professor Dr. Vrishali Randhir, Vice Principal, Senior College, and Professor Dr. Prakash Chaudhary, respected trustees and office bearers of the Modern Education Society, Dr. Abhay Hake, Dr. Ashok Chandak, Dr. Manoj Sanap, all dignitaries, invitees, former principals of Neswadia College, and all our invitees. It's a great pleasure to propose the formal vote of thanks this evening at the online celebration of the 53rd Foundation Day of the college. At the outset, we express deep gratitude to our respected chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Dr. Karmalkar, for graciously accepting our invitation to this program despite his busy schedule. Sir, we are indeed greatly privileged by your esteemed presence and are obliged that you consented to be with us here today. Sir, the multifaceted deliberations shared by you on various aspects of education have surely set us thinking deeply. Your assiduous undertakings for the betterment of the university and your affection for and confidence in the young student population is extremely laudable. We are deeply grateful to you for your exceptional visionary strengths, which propel the Savitribai Phule University to forge ahead even in such difficult times as the present pandemic, and to retain its foremost position in the field of education. We are truly fortunate to have such an esteemed and humane personality at the helm of affairs. Thank you very much, sir. I sincerely thank Dr. Hake for sharing his valuable thoughts with us today. My thanks are also due to the trustees and officials of Modern Education Society for being present here this evening with us. Their support and encouragement is always valued greatly. Our in-charge principal, Dr. Vrishali Randhir, exudes a wonderful blend of charm and confidence with a ever-smiling countenance in everything that she undertakes. We thank her sincerely for creating a delightful work atmosphere through her contagious cheerfulness and enthusiasm. We are certain that her keenness will prove to be conducive to the betterment of the institution. Vice Principal, Professor Dr. Prakash Chaudhary, with his well-defined and intense commitment to the college, guides and facilitates all our curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular ventures in a collected and composed manner. We are perpetually grateful to him for his unfailing encouragement and reassurance in the matters of the Institute. I sincerely thank all the former principals, vice principals of both the senior and junior college, Neswadia, and all our teachers for joining us this evening. A very big thank you is due to all the senior teachers for leading the various committees that worked to organize and make the program successful. I'm also grateful to each member of every committee for their hard work for this evening. My thanks are due to the technical team who made this online celebration of the 53rd Foundation Day possible. Our alumni are always an integral part of the college. We are grateful to them for their continued association with us. Thank you for being present here today. Last but not the least, I wish to thank every person who joined us this evening. The program could not have been a success without your valued presence. Thank you, one and all. Over to you, Dani Madam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kunde. Dear participants, we would like to capture this moment of togetherness, celebration, and hope for a better, brighter, and a healthier world. We request that all participants please switch on their videos so that we can capture this for a virtual group photo. Participants, please request you all to switch on your videos.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Has it been taken, Rakesh sir?
Rakesh sir, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Once you say yes.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone present. With this, we declare the program closed. Thank you so much and have a very good evening.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
once
you all.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you.